Hey, what's happening? This is your host Tinto, and before we get started on the coffees, I just want to say sorry about last weekend. The episode I recorded got corrupted. I lost it completely. I tried to apply every bit of tech that I have. It just couldn't come back. And that coincided with my little man not feeling great to start off school. So he was off school for a good 3-4 days. I was nursing him. And now the weekend is here, and I've had a little time to record this, so sorry it didn't happen last weekend, but hey, we're back, and we're going to go straight into people that got me coffees, starting with you, Tendo. An incredible number of coffees, and your comment there reads, Tinto, your podcast is unmatched. I want to go back to the day I first started listening and I had 80 fresh episodes waiting for me. Yeah, man. Now that I'm caught up, it's hard to wait a whole week for this mad thing. Great work. Well, Tendo, thank you so much for being patient. And then Tendi. Hey, what's up with the Tendo, Tendi, Tinto kind of vibe names? Thank you for your incredible number of coffees. And you wrote, thanks, Tinto, for all the work you put into this podcast. Tisuvaya Veshikwereti. Well, you've honored your requerity. Thank you so much. And then another good friend of mine, Ed Gatsiru Sere, you bought me an incredible number of coffees, and your comment there reads, Burgurova Bora Changamire. Keep up the good work. I will do just that, Gatsi. And then Ms. K, an incredible number of coffees. Thank you so much. And your comment there just reads plain, thank you. I appreciate you. And then I am Goni _ bought me a coffee. Incredible. Thank you so much. And your comment there is not much, but I love the content. Hey, remember, there's no such thing that is too small to support the podcast you've grown to love. And then heading over to DD Stars. Incredible number of coffees. Thank you so much. Your comment there reads, thank you for doing the Lord's work. We're taking notes. Keep at it, bro. I sure will. And then Andrea Dre brought me an incredible number of coffees as well. And you say it's been a long time coming. Keep doing the things, Tinto. Neka Starbucks. Thank you. Appreciate that. Last but not least, oh my goodness, this is my day one homie. And before we get started, I just want to say happy birthday to you. This is Tendai, incredible number of coffees, and you wrote, long time coming to go with the chocolate cake that I still owe you. Keep shining, superstar. Wow, that chocolate cake dates back to 2006, if I remember well, but that's a story for another day. Let's get into this weekend's episode.
Is that a breakup? I think we have a situation right here. On Feeling Station.
Hello?
You know, that was only about 15,000 seconds before you said hello. Tell me what the hell that was. Is it the fear? Is it the nerves? What is it? Wow. Explain yourself.
No, I definitely said hello first, but I think you didn't hear me.
Yeah? Okay, fine.
So I had to say it again.
Yeah, okay, great. Let's try that one more time. Ring, ring, ring. Hello. How you doing?
I'm good, Tinto. How are you?
I'm awesome. Welcome to the Feeling Station.
Thank you.
For those listening to the podcast for the first time, it touches on romantic, family, and friendship breakups, showcasing stories that people would like to talk about with a view to give you lessons from their experiences. I hope you find today's story entertaining, but more importantly, meaningful. And now the podcast is popular for two main reasons. The first being I do my best to keep my guests anonymous, which brings me to the fun part. Are you ready for this one? It's the name that you're going to use for the duration of the episode.
Okay.
So I've gone over to Southern Africa, the beautiful, very sunny country of Botswana. And your name is Penyo, which is Phenyo. Penyo.
Penyo.
Yeah, hopefully that's easy enough to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what that means is somebody who always wins and is victorious.
Oh, wow.
Solid meaning, right?
Yeah.
You're not victorious over love, though. Love conquered you.
It definitely has. Listen, but I think it translates to other parts of my life. So I'll take it.
Awesome. And what are you calling the guy that you're going to talk about?
So we're gonna call him Dead Man.
Hey, Bantu. Ish, guys. Okay, you're calling him Dead Man. And I'm not even going to ask why, because I'm sure that's going to come out in the story, right? Unless you want to tell me why you called him Dead Man. Why'd you call him Dead Man?
Well, call him Dead Man. I mean, but it might ruin the story. I think we need to
Fine.
remember to get the reason, and it's right at the end of the story. So
Okay,
hopefully
cool.
we get through
Cool.
right till the end.
So let's leave it like that. So this is about Peño and Deadman. And the second
Yeah.
reason why the podcast is doing really well is there are real life lessons that people learn from your story today. So what would you like people to learn?
Listen.
Yo, that's
feel
a
like-
big sigh, fam. Aye, okay, go for it. Yeah, number one.
No. So I feel like there's no formula to this love and dating
Mm.
life, right? So I can't
Mhm.
really give lessons that will be implemented successfully, right? So, but if you're listening and you're quite spiritual, I just say hope that your prayers touch the hem of Jesus' garment. That's all.
Now, that's assuming that people pray. For that person who doesn't pray,
Yeah.
well, what does
So
that
that's
mean?
why I
That
said
means
if
they're in
you are
trouble.
spiritual,
Yeah?
listen, you're just winging it at that point.
Well, funny enough, I'm going to put those as two lessons, right? First one, there's no formula to this love and dating life,
Yeah.
you know, which is true. And then secondly, because there's no formula, you better hope your prayers touch the hem of Jesus Christ. And
Yeah.
in addition to that, right, you hope that his answer is yes. Because if his
Listen.
answer is no, it's wait, it's peak for you, fam.
Yeah, because I feel like there's nothing you can do and it'll
Yeah.
be like proper guaranteed success. Like, I just, no.
Yeah. Well, Gina, without further ado, we're gonna go straight into it. Peño, but where did you meet Deadman, and why did you feel okay? This is the guy that I'm gonna say yes to.
So,
Mm.
to give you context first, when I met him, I had been single at that point for about 2.5 years, and this is important. So I
Okay.
was definitely in a space where, I hadn't been in a relationship. I had done a lot of self-work, and I wanted to make sure that this time round, if I met someone, I mean, it was going to be a successful relationship in whatever I call success, right?
Yeah.
So, when I met him, it was 2019. It was a wedding. Basically, my sister's husband's brother's wedding. So my brother-in-law's wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a bit funny, the initial meet. Basically, we're at the wedding and a few people, I guess, have spotted me, and I keep being told by like my brother-in-law and certain people who are at the wedding, right?
Mm.
And basically they're just like, people want to know if you're in a relationship. There's a few people who like are checking you out, etc. And I was with my sister at that wedding, so she was quite protective, right?
Mm.
Fast forward, after the main ceremony, we get in the car and and this lady gets in the car with us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just before we get in the car, he comes to us and he introduces himself. Hey, I'm Deadman. And he turns out to be really good friends with my sister and her husband, right?
Oh,
so they
okay.
say, oh no, this is Deadman.
Yeah.
And this guy, I'm like, oh, cool. So we just meet on that level.
Mm.
There was like his aura, I guess, presence. I like presence, and it's very difficult for me to feel like, I like this person's presence. So he definitely came with that day. So immediately I was like, okay, cool. Just, noted. And then, we got into the car. We headed to the second part of the wedding, right?
Yeah.
And this is important because we get in the car and the lady we get in the car with has a little chat with Deadman, right?
Mm.
And okay, I didn't take much of it. We get in the car on our way to the wedding. I'm very free. So I'm like, oh, okay. My sister's telling me about these people who are approaching me. And then I'm like, no, but tell me about Deadman, right?
Okay, you were curious about Deadman.
Yeah, tell me about him, And then she, I could tell she wasn't divulging a lot, but at that point, I wasn't picking up why, if you get me, right?
Mm.
We get to the wedding, and the lady gets out the car and goes away. And then my sister goes, dude, that's his ex who was in the car with us. That's what I'm saying.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, oh, shit.
Hey.
Okay. I'm like, his ex. so what are they doing here together?
I was about to
And then
ask that
she's like,
question.
and then she's like, no, so complicated story, but they broke up a couple of months ago, very heated breakup, but they were already scheduled to come to the wedding, and they kind of turned out to be friends, inverted commas, after their breakup. So they just came together, but he actually, yeah, they're definitely over, like over. I'm like,
You sound like a good judge of character. From that lady coming in with Dead Man, did you see any body language that could have hinted that they were an item once upon a time?
No, especially because while he was standing with her, he was definitely like focused on me, giving me eye contact. He wasn't shy about the situation. So I genuinely thought they're friends.
Okay.
Like they're friends, right?
Yeah.
And I guess later it made sense because I found out that their relationship started off with like proper friendship where they were like boys, like you know. Yeah, so I guess it made sense later, but I couldn't tell. I won't lie.
Okay.
I just she on his side I couldn't tell. On her side, I did get some vibes, but I just thought maybe she's being protective over her friend.
Yeah.
Maybe she likes him in the back, but I didn't think okay these people were in a whole relationship. You see, yeah, okay. And the last thing that happened at that wedding, which is important, was when we were leaving, everyone was going to an after party. And then he walked up to me and this ex was standing right there and said, please come to the after party with us. Yeah. And then I was like, no, I don't think I'm going to come with you guys, right? And then he's like, no, Pena, please, right? Come to a party. And I was just like, no, I'm not going to. And then he's like, okay, please think about it. And cool. And this happened in front of her also. So I was just like, okay, this is a very weird situation, but yeah.
So were you saying no because she was there?
No. I wasn't even thinking about her like that at that point. A lot was going on. A lot of the, people were a bit rowdy. A lot of the guys were trying to make moves. So I didn't even want to put myself in that situation.
Okay,
where you get me.
Where you'd have more guys being rowdy and giving you attention.
Yes, and because they had just been trying all weekend, and I just wasn't in the space for that type of situation.
Okay.
So I was like, no, guys, I'm not going to join, but it was nice to meet everyone. Basically, yeah. Okay, cool. Fast forward, it was out of the country, so we come back, right? Come back to my home country, and then I start getting likes on my Instagram. Right? And I go into the profile who's liking my stuff, right?
I'm like, okay. Was your profile open at that time or it was private?
No, actually it was private. So he sent me a request and then I saw the name and I remembered, yes, and I accepted. And then he went and liked, when someone goes in history, he went and liked everything, you know?
Things from like 2001, huh?
Exactly. So I took notes and I was like, okay, I went through his profile just to get a sense of, who he is. And then, I left it basically. Then he tried to DM me, but I ignored it, right? And then what happened over the next 2 months was he started like continuously going over to my sister and her husband's house and basically asking them to introduce us properly.
Yeah.
So they keep calling me on Sundays, what you doing? Oh, we're with Dead Man. He's asking about you, making jokes. And this is happening regularly, right? So I'm just like, okay, And then, I'm just like, no. And then what's important was my brother-in-law was quite skeptical. He usually is, but on a different level this time. He just kept saying, I don't think I want you guys to like meet properly. But he wouldn't say why, right?
Yeah.
And then I was just like, oh, maybe it's because they're friends. So I ignored it. I wasn't too keen. So I just kept laughing it off, like, Till the one Sunday, my sister calls me and they're with him. And she's like, listen, I can't keep pushing this. And he's really insisting. She hands him the phone and he says, I'm going to message you on Instagram, or if you don't mind, can I get your number from your sister? I'd really like to have a conversation with you. I think it's been like a couple of months and I'm still dead set on like meeting you, right? And then at this point, I'm like, okay, go ahead, right?
Out of curiosity, one of the first things you said was that you liked this guy's aura. You were curious about him.
Yeah.
Does all of that vanish just because you found out he was sat next to his ex in the car?
Yeah, and I am quite a careful person. So that for me, you know, and I'm also quite a feeler, like a sensor. So mixed with my brother-in-law being quite skeptical, he doesn't really want to introduce us. He's not saying why. He's got great things to say about him, but he also just doesn't want to say why. He doesn't want us to meet, right? And then there's an ex involved, and personally, I don't like men with exes.
Well, you can't say that because whoever you're gonna meet next will have an ex. Right?
I know.
Like right now, you are somebody's ex. Like now, you're talking about dead man. You're an ex.
Yeah, but worse off when it's exes that you're still in contact with. I think it's just a dangerous game. Like,
so you're saying you don't like men with exes that they're in touch with?
Yes, I mean, it would be perfect if you haven't dated before, but I'll settle for exes you're not in touch with.
My guy, you're asking to date Jesus. He's the only man I know who did not have a girlfriend. Well, I don't want to take away from the story. So, okay, fine. You know, you're sensing that something is a bit off here, but you're also saying, all right, fine. Let's find out what this is about.
Yeah, because I do like a persistent man.
Okay. I won't pass the comment I was about to pass because I want the story to unfold. I might just drop it later, so I'll let you continue.
Okay. So yeah, I finally agree. I'm like, okay, it's fine. You can contact me, right? I will respond this time. Okay. And yeah, later that afternoon, he DMs me and he's like, your sister still hasn't sent me your number, but can I get your number? I send him my number. He immediately is like, hey, I've been trying to meet you for months now. And even before these couple of months, your sister prior had mentioned you a few times and I'd seen pictures and I've been keen, but no one's been trying to make this happen. But anyway, I'm going to cut to the chase. Can we do dinner tonight at 7 at this place?
Come on, dead man.
So he comes with detail. He comes with, okay, 2 hours from now, can we do dinner? And I'm like, okay, I like that. I like a man with a plan. So I was like, okay, let's do it, right? And then, yeah. Already I knew that this was going to go somewhere because I don't allow people to pick me up. I always will rather meet you there.
Yeah.
But he asks to pick me up. I say no initially. He insists. And I'm actually just like, you know what? You can pick me up. It's fine. Right? So already.
You're breaking a lot of your own rules already, my guy.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, so cool. He picks me up. What a gentleman. Opens the door, we go to dinner. It's a nice place. And we sit there across from each other and we start talking. And Tinto, listen, I don't know. It just felt so comfortable. It felt like home. It felt familiar. And it's not like I haven't met people where I know someone in common, but this just it was very comfortable, let me say. Like we're talking, there's no awkwardness. I like my silence also besides talking. So we're having silence, but it's comfortable silence at times, and it doesn't feel awkward. And he's being open, I'm being open.
So it sounds like a very nice first date.
It really was. Like,
did you at some point start questioning yourself and saying, why was I being so difficult for anyway in the first place?
Not really. I feel like it's better to feel like, listen, I was difficult and this person, pursued the situation. So I didn't, but it kind of made sense why I kind of had a hunch. Because I'm usually spot on. As soon as I meet someone, I can kind of tell if I'm gonna like you at all or not completely.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. So it kind of made sense. That evening was there was definitely something there when we first spoke, you see.
Did you guys kiss on the first night?
Yo, when he dropped me off, we did have a kiss. I'm not even gonna lie.
This life. Hey.
It was a very good first kiss. And yeah, we sat in the car till like 3 a.m. and it's a Sunday evening, so I've got work early the next morning. But we sat in the car till 3 a.m. talking, so obviously we had to kiss. What do you think?
Yeah. This is going very well.
Okay, cool. So the next day, he asks to do dinner. It's Monday morning. He texts me. He's like, I had a great night last night. Can we please do dinner tonight? I'm like, what?
This is intense, like really intense.
Yeah. So I'm like, and yeah, like it's usually very hard for me to connect with someone. So for me to even just agree, I was like, okay. So I'm like, yeah, we can. And yeah, so basically on the second date, he lets me know that some facts, some very important facts. So firstly, he tells me, listen, I'm in the process of moving to a new country, literally waiting for my paperwork to come out. I feel like I have to be honest about that. But I felt like I couldn't, I'm not sure how long it take. It could take 5 months. It could take a month.
Yeah.
I don't know. But as soon as it comes out, I'm moving. But I felt like I had to meet you before I leave, right? So I was like, okay. I'll take note of that. And then he lets me know basically the history. I ask him, please tell me about what's happening with your ex and the whole you coming to a wedding with her. I'm actually quite curious, right?
Yeah.
And then he lets me know, we're still kind of friends. He tells me their history of how they started off as friends and how, it was quite deep when they broke up. They were in talks of basically doing the whole lobola thing, getting engaged. But he told me the truth, which is what I appreciated. He told me he did something really bad and he gave me all the details. And
in a nutshell, what did he do?
He cheated.
Okay.
He cheated. But he cheated and there was proof. And what this girl did was she sent the proof to his mom. So he felt very betrayed. He felt like he couldn't go on with it, if you get me.
Yeah.
He just felt like, what the hell? And because this is also, he was a bit of a mama's boy, let me tell you. So he felt like you've ruined my image to my most precious mom. So this is you can't fix this, right?
Yeah, but it was his fault for getting the image ruined. His mom just found out what he really was. So what is he getting mad about?
I think also their basis for getting together. So their basis for getting together wasn't a love relationship, is what he explained to me. It was more of, so he always felt like he never wanted to marry someone he felt like deeply connected to and loved. He always, he shied away from that. He basically, when they got together, they were homies. And she had actually smashed a few people in his group. And it was his turn. And she caught feelings at some point and asked to be in a relationship with him, basically. And he kept saying no and no, but then realized he actually is cool with this lady as a friend. So he felt like this would be someone perfect to be with because I'm not scared of losing her, basically. So I would never be vulnerable enough, in a relationship or marriage with her. And that's what he was looking for, future-wise, marriage-wise, at that point in his life. So it made sense.
Weird.
I know.
As in, how do you want to be with someone you don't really want to be with?
I think it made sense to me when I got to know him and his fears, his past traumas based off childhood and what he had viewed in his parents' relationships. It made sense when you put it like that.
So he should be alone. Because what he's basically doing is giving 20% of himself to somebody who could be giving 100%.
Oh, no, definitely. So that's what was happening, but she was aware.
So he's constantly shortchanging someone and creating trauma in that other person.
No, definitely. But she was fully aware and she agreed to this. That's how much she wanted him.
Okay, so he told you all of this.
Yes.
And that didn't raise a red flag for you?
It did. It definitely did.
Because what he was basically saying was, okay, Pena, we're in this, but I'm only in this because I'm not really that into you.
Oh, no, no, no. So he was describing what had happened with his ex. So now he starts telling me about how he's feeling with me, and about our initial meet, and how like he couldn't get the thought out of his mind. And after he met me the night before, how it was so much more than just the thought. So how like we had such deep spiritual, intellectual, emotional conversations, right? Because remember we had such a long date from like 7 till like talking till like 3 a.m., right?
Yeah.
So he's like saying to me, he's feeling something he hasn't felt before. And this time he doesn't even feel scared to run from it. He feels like he needs to run into it. So he's obviously
Yay.
talking me through this.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you liked the sound of that.
I did. Also, he was currently in therapy post the end of that previous relationship. So I respected that. So I felt like he was doing work on himself also. And I respect someone who's willing to face their demons and share them, basically. Because so many people lie easily, right? So for me, that was a good step in the right direction, especially because you can't meet a perfect individual, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm assuming he asked you out?
Yeah, so we start going on dates every day for the next few months before he leaves. Like,
Hey.
I saw this man every day he asked me on a new date. He was delivering flowers at work. Listen.
This guy's got money. This guy's got money, ne? Yeah?
I mean...
Does he?
At that point, I would have said yes, but something happened in the end, so... But let's say yes.
Okay, all right. So it's dates every night, meals, flowers, gifts. Yay!
We're moving, okay? So obviously we're discovering a lot and very quickly, right? And eventually what happens is after like 2 months of this, he says, "Listen, my visa could come out at any point. Oh, yes." And that day we had like a really special date where he had basically like officially said like, "I'm in love with you." He said the words, etc. Yeah.
And this is after how long?
This is after like, I think it was like a month and a half to 2 months. So somewhere around that mark. But we're seeing each other every day also. So I think that also gives context, right? Yeah, so we had like a very deep day where he had said, like, opened up a lot and said those words and said, like, he's quite afraid, but yeah, this is something he definitely wants to go into, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. On our way home, he basically says, "Can we please pass by your sister's house?" I'm like, okay, let me call her. I call her. I'm like, hey sis, I'm with Dead Man. Can we pass by? And she's like, yeah, of course. Cool. We go to my sister's house. We're sitting there. We're greeting. My brother-in-law looks like he's seen a ghost. He can't believe it. He's like, "So you guys are really doing this?"
Yeah. But he doesn't say this to both of you, does he?
No, he says it to both of us right there. He couldn't believe it. He can't even hold himself.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're laughing there and we're like, yeah. And he's like, yo, like he couldn't contain himself, right?
Yeah.
Then Dead Man says to my sister, "Dude, I need to meet up with you tomorrow and have a conversation, right? This is another Sunday." So he's like, "Or during the week when you're free." And then she's like, "Oh, I think Wednesday I'll be working around. We can meet up." And then she's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, it's very important." So I'm like, "Why are you guys meeting up? Wait." And then he's like, "I have just some questions for her and I think it's important I speak to her." I'm like, okay. I was easy. So I was like, it's fine. Yeah. And I kind of knew my sister would tell me, right? So cool. Fast forward, their meetup happens and my sister calls me immediately. I'm in the office. She's like, "Step out the building. You need to hear this." So I'm like, okay, cool. She calls me. I'm like, "What's up?" She's like, "Dude, this guy, cool. We meet up. He takes me for breakfast." He's like, "Dude, I know you are a very direct, frank person, and I feel like you'll be honest even though she's your sister. That's the kind of person I've known you for all these years.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, yeah, okay. Then she's like, he's like, please be honest with me. Your sister just sounds too good to be true, and so far she's too good to be true. And then my sister says to me, she says to him, okay, what's wrong with that though?
Yeah.
And he's like, he says to her, no, something has to be wrong with her. And I literally have spent so much time with her and I can't spot anything.
You
right?
see, this is what happens when somebody has an insecure personality trait.
Yep.
Yeah, and attachment style. Because what they are constantly looking for is that one thing which is wrong with them that they can hinge onto and use that as an excuse to say, I knew you were bad for me. and that thing just ain't happening.
Yeah. So he's struggling. He's in panic mode, right? So he says to my sister, listen, like, I even tried asking about her in the streets. No one knows anything. She looks like a baddie. She should be a baddie. I mean, no one has any dirt on her. Like, everyone's just saying she's such a great girl. She's smart, but she looks like a baddie, so they should be something, right?
Yeah.
Does she have any toxic traits I should know of? Because so far, nothing's come up.
But you
so
know,
my sister's...
But you know, dead man is not really a wise man. Why is he going to think your sister is going to have something bad to say about you?
So my sister has done it in, like, my sister's very frank. So even in front of my other siblings or what, she can say something that's not a good thing about you in front of people. She's known for that, basically. So he trusted that.
But when you say in front of people, like anybody, she could say anything in front of anyone.
Listen, you don't know my sister.
You?
Yeah. So he definitely trusted that she would definitely openly, honestly say it. And I see why. Like, she is that person. So that's why he trusted that.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So my sister's like, listen, I really cannot give you dirt. She will not hurt a fly, that person, right? She's exactly what you're experiencing is exactly her.
Yeah.
But, however, what I will say is, because she doesn't let people in, when she actually does, it's kind of forever. So if you hurt her, she's really gonna be hurt. Like,
yeah.
She's really gonna be hurt because she would probably have prayed about it, thought about it, you know, that she literally never allows people in. So sometimes we kind of think she's cold, but it's not. It's either she lets you in or she doesn't at all. So she's just hot or cold, basically, you know? So my worry is actually for her. I need to know if you don't think this is what you see and you know for sure and you're going to do what you used to do in the past, I feel like you should definitely let it go now. My sister does not let people in. Literally, her telling you she's been single for 2.5 years and not messed around, literally that's it. Before, she was only with that one person. Like, that's her, right? So she tells him that I'm actually concerned for her. You need to know that for sure this is what you want.
Yeah.
Right? And apparently he's like, okay, yeah, no, I'm sure. I was worried that this girl's going to hurt me and I'm missing something about her, you know? And yeah, so he leaves in comfort. She's like, no, I assure you, what you're experiencing, that's literally her.
Yeah. Like,
nothing, she's not going to hit you with any surprises at all. Literally. And he's like, okay, cool. Okay. Cool. He comes back. She comes back. She lets me know, obviously, what happened. And then I should have taken more notes of this, but he starts actually telling me directly, like, so I'm quite adventurous, so we do a lot of outside activities, right? And randomly, while we're doing whatever we're doing and we're with people, he would like just say, oh, you're too good to be true. Like, he'd spit those words just randomly here and there. And yeah, I should have definitely. And I was concerned and I would mention it, but he just used to say, yeah, obviously the whole, how he explained his prior relationships and how he felt with me. So I just, you know what? Yeah, at that point, I was just like, you know what? I'm praying about it. I'm thinking about it. For now, it's making sense. And, you know, we'll just see,
So,
right?
so if you said you're too good to be true, what was he expecting you to do so that you're less good and less true?
So he wanted either some dirt from my past, because obviously he had done some bad things that he had let me all in on, like some not bad things, but he had lived his best life. Let me put it like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I feel we have different definitions of living our best lives, right?
Mm.
For me, what I tell people I've lived my best life, right? But for me, the definition might be like bungee jumping and skydiving and traveling and swimming with sharks. That's what I consider living my best life, right? I don't have to have done, I mean, sexual, promiscuous stuff, I guess, what the world considers that.
Yeah.
Because most people consider that as living their best life, right? And also, he was like, oh, so another fact is I've never touched alcohol. I've never tasted alcohol. I've never smoked weed. So that also concerned him. Like, how can I be so disciplined, basically?
That is very interesting. And I can see why you'd be asking those questions.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, we live in an environment now where drinking a lot of sex, smoking weed, drugs is okay to do. I'm not saying that it is, but it's perceived as being okay to do. So when somebody is saying nope, 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 nope,
exactly,
you know, they raise an eyebrow and they're just like, damn, how have you been able to escape all of this?
Exactly.
Okay.
And because everyone kept confirming to him that we've known this girl for like 10 years, she's never touched alcohol. She's never done anything like that, basically. Right? So I understood that because I'd met lots of people, like even till this day, every time I meet someone, like they just cannot believe, especially when they see the reality of it, that it's actually it. And people who've known me for years are like confirming that that's the situation. So, I mean, it raised the flag that he kept saying too good to be true, but also it didn't, because I do realize that I am kind of an outlier in terms of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get me.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was just struggling to merge what I look like in terms of what people call a baddie and who I actually am, basically. Right? So yeah, so his fast forward, his what's this called? Visa comes out, and now we know he's leaving in the next few weeks, right? And
like how many? 2, 3 weeks, 5?
Yeah, it was 2-3 weeks, literally. So he says the one weekend, he knew my family was having lunch after church on one of the weekends. And he says, I want to meet your parents. I need to meet them before I leave because, yeah, I know what I want. So can I meet your parents?
What did he think he wanted?
At that point, he thought he wanted to be with me long term. He thought he wanted to marry me. And yeah.
So had he told you that he wants to marry you?
Yes, he had spoken about it. He had spoken about the future. But you know, at that point, we all have. We've had people tell us they want to get married. But I was listening and I was hearing it. But, you know, you still kind of leave that, we're dreaming here, you know?
So him saying that wasn't exciting for you?
It was. It was. It was exciting, but it was also a bit scary because I had introduced my ex to my family before that, and I didn't like how when we were done, they held on to it, like especially my parents. So I was scared of that. But in terms of me and him, I was excited.
Bearing in mind, this is a man who's had lobola discussions previously and went and cheated anyway.
True, right?
So his value on lobola and marriage is between 0 and none. and he's starting to have that conversation with you and you get excited. Yeah,
and it was obviously based off the belief that he had sold me, right? That this was different. This was now a love match and not a, this feels safe, you can't hurt me. With me, he was genuinely scared the whole time that I could break his heart. So I felt excited in the sense that I knew he had never been in a relationship like ours in terms of the basis of why they got together. Exactly.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, so we do the whole meet the parents thing. Okay, it goes okay. What's important to note about that day before we move to the last stage of this story is that day, my brother-in-law asks to step out with him. right?
You see, this brother-in-law, he's giving me God vibes. Right, and I'll explain what God vibes is. God vibes is that one person who's always watching from above. They know exactly what the hell is going on. They're trying to send just signs and signals.
Yeah.
But because of our carnal nature, we're like, nah, I got this. He's just giving me proper God vibes. And then from day one, it's like, hey, listen, Peño, this thing that you want to go for, relax, right? And then he gave you the look, like the shock to say, you guys are really doing this. And then now he's pulling you to the side. Yo, by now, my gut would be like, okay, maybe I need to listen to this person.
No. So that day, my gut said no ways, right?
Explain, go for it. What did your brother-in-law had to say?
So remember, he's pulling Dead Man aside, not me.
Oh yeah, right? Dead Man. Yeah.
So they disappear, Tinto, like hours. And I'm even like texting Dead Man at this point saying, are you okay? I didn't want him to scare the boy. So, okay, cool. Fast forward. Dead Man leaves. And then we have a one-on-one, my brother-in-law and I. And then I'm like, okay, what was going on earlier? I feel like it's at a point where you just need to tell me,
Yeah.
And then he said, do you know about this guy's past? And then I'm like, yes, I do. And then he says, what do you know? So I tell him A, B, C, D, E. And then he goes, okay, shit, I can't believe he told you everything, right? I'm like, yeah, no, he did. He's like, so you're not scared? I'm like, I am, and I'm human. Of course I'm scared, right? But at the same time, I believe the work he's putting in currently, with seeing a therapist and his honesty to face the past and to say what happened and what caused it and where he's at now. I believe the things he's now said, because I believe anyone can make a decision to do something different, And then my brother's like, okay, it's fine. I'm like, okay, what happened with you guys? What's the chat there? And then he's like, no, I won't lie to. So I pulled him aside to basically say, no, dude, please don't hurt I call her my little sister, Peño. Please don't hurt her. Like, she literally cannot hurt a fly. Please don't hurt this girl. And it's just that I know the way you move, etc. And then he basically, he insisted he's not going to hurt you. But then I also asked him, what's the difference? You were literally engaged just now. And all of a sudden, you're so serious that you want to meet like her parents, do all this so quickly. What's the difference between that relationship and this relationship? Are you just not infatuated by her appearance or something, right? And then, so this was very important to me because this is the point that I stopped freaking out. So apparently, they have this chat, and take notes, my brother-in-law is like a jokester, like not super spiritual, any of that, but he goes into Bible like times for me now. He says to me, Peño, we basically had this conversation about soulmates, right? And the chat is basically that when you marry someone that was basically God had destined for you, right? When you go through the relationship, you can feel that this is a struggle. You can feel that we're fighting, but it's even there's no softness. You don't even feel like softening yourself in that fight, even when they say sorry. Like, you can just feel the whole relationship being a struggle. And then you look at other relationships you've had or different people you've experienced where it just felt easier. Like, you could have the exact same fight over the exact same thing, right? But you're able to soften to the other person. And basically the discussion was, it feels like when something's not for you, it's just even more of a struggle than it actually should be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is the first time he had actually believed in the idea of soulmates. And he basically said to me, when I look into my past, there is someone that I didn't struggle with, even if I'm going to be honest with you, like I struggle with your sister, basically. And this was very deep. And he's like, I'm not saying this to bash your sister. I know you'll understand what I'm saying. But what I'm basically saying is, but I do believe God can bless, even if you got into a relationship based off the wrong stuff, especially when it's now marriage level, right? Because God sanctified marriage. He can still bless that thing when you say, God, listen, I know I made my own decisions here. I just got into it for selfish reasons, but please bless it because you've said you'll sanctify marriage unions. So that's basically what he said to me. And I respected that because take a note, I told you my brother-in-law was not that level. He didn't believe in soulmates, but he's coming to me with such a deep chat and such a new understanding that he had discovered during this long conversation with Dead Man, right? So he even says after that conversation, I'm happy to give my blessing. This man is definitely serious about you. I've never heard him speak like this, even on this level. And he opened up my mind to occurrences and like this whole soulmate thing. And yeah, he does believe you're his soulmate, and I believe him, you know? And yeah, I was sold after that, Tinto. I was like, okay, I'm also comfortable about my brother's past insecurities, my brother-in-law's past insecurities. You get me?
Yeah.
So at that point, I'm like, cool, guys.
We're doing this.
We're doing this. Okay? Okay, cool. He's about to leave the country. Just before he leaves the country that week, this ex keeps calling. Her name keeps popping up on the phone.
The one from the wedding.
Yes. So I'm like, dude, what's going on? And then he just explains, no, I used to help her with a lot of work stuff, and also I'm doing the proper separation. So apparently the apartment they were living in, they had bought together. So he needed to sign over some papers. He had decided he'll just let her keep it, apparently.
Yeah.
And then, but they had one bank account where they used to put in money together, so that they were going to split. But yeah, so they needed to basically work around those logistics because, yeah. Apparently, she had also heard about our relationship and it was getting quite heated, right? So I'm like, okay, that's fair. I understand that. And he showed me his phone at that point. He's like, I want to make sure you feel very comfortable. We're literally discussing account stuff, etc. You know? So I'm like, okay, cool. The night before his flight, we drive over to get, because there are a few important documents at her place. So we drive over to her now place. And I have to wait in the car. And so, yeah, guys.
What was the reason for you staying in the car? Because she's an ex.
He just felt like it would hurt her too much to just see me with him.
But she's an ex.
True.
You know what I mean?
I won't lie. I wasn't comfortable with it, the whole thing, you know. I even felt like send your friend to go get the stuff if it's that.
Or just not take you in the first place.
Also, right?
You know, if you're that uncomfortable with something, explain to your boy. It's like, hey, Penny, listen, I would love you to come, but I know you'll be uncomfortable. So to protect both you and me, I think it's best you stay.
Yeah.
But you have my word, nothing's going on. Because you trusted him, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, so you stayed in the car?
It was weird. I stayed in the car. He goes in, comes out with his stuff, and then he's like, cool, we can go.
Did he come out quickly?
Then, yeah.
How long was he in there for?
No, I won't lie to you. It was like an hour, and his excuse was she cried when he was walking out.
My guy is going to go sort out a few bits of paperwork and it takes an hour to come out.
Yeah, apparently she cried. That was his excuse. Apparently she broke down.
So what?
I also said that, but...
So she broke down and he felt it was important for him to try and make her feel better.
Yeah, apparently it was so bad. Like she was obviously threatening her life.
What was she crying for?
For him and the relationship, and saying she's going to kill herself.
But it's finished already anyway.
Yeah, I wasn't really understanding. But yeah, she admitted while he was in there getting the stuff that I thought we'd work this out and get back together, you know? And now I'm hearing about you and this new girl and that it's moving so quickly. You're around her, like around friends, mutual friends, and apparently you're talking serious things. So I'm just so hurt. I really thought we'd work it out, you know? So yeah.
So this was her lesson number 2, that her prayer. She was hoping that her prayer would touch the hem of Jesus and that Mandem would stay, yeah? I guess this is one of them places where if Jesus said no, we're like, thank you, Jesus, for saying no. Anyway, he comes back to the car.
Comes back. I'm obviously like, dude, you took so long. And then, yeah, he explains what's happened. I'm like, it's a bit dodge, but okay.
Why were you so quick to say okay?
No. Obviously, I'm saying it so quickly to you, but if we were driving and basically the 30-minute drive, 20 minutes of it, I was like, mm-mm. But I'm also not a fighter. I won't lie to you. I think it's also worked to my disadvantage in the past. So me not being a fighter sometimes meant I think I let go of things too easily that I might have should have just fought about maybe, but I'm just not a fighter. That's the thing,
Okay.
and I've been told this, so it can be a problem. Like people think like gentle people who are non-fighters is a good thing, but it can also be bad for that person because then sometimes I don't get to the bottom of certain
Yeah.
things.
And you end up being a doormat most of the time.
Literally. So people walk all over me. I'm not even gonna lie. People who I actually let in though, obviously, right? Because it's quite difficult. Exactly. So so then I'm like, okay, cool. And then next day I take him to the airport. It's the goodbyes, it's special. He's like, I'll see you soon. Obviously, we'll sort out your tourist visa stuff to come visit as soon as possible. And I'm gonna miss you. It's emotional. It's good.
Did you cry?
Did I cry that day? I think I'd watery eyes, but I didn't really cry. My last relationship had been long distance for those 3 years of it. So that wasn't something I was afraid of, and it had been a good experience for the most. So I wasn't really afraid, and I kind of knew I'd see him very soon. So, and I think I felt comfortable in what we had, basically. So I was just like, I was easy. He actually cried. It was quite deep. And he was like, and then I had said some stuff and he said, he basically said that was very deep. You're, so mature. It wasn't a big age gap though, but he was just like, you're so mature. And what you said tonight,
What was the age gap?
It wasn't bad. How many years was it? It was 8 years.
Oh. So if he was 30, you were 22.
Yeah.
Just saying if.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're 18, he would have been 26.
Yeah. But I definitely wasn't 18. I was definitely in my 20s.
I'm just saying if. So, just putting that into context, you're literally finishing high school and getting into uni with a man who's been working for about 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Go on.
Okay, he leaves. Everything's good. He's in the new country now. Things are going fine. Nothing's changed. Still very consistent. We're talking consistently. I mean, we'd talk. The time difference was hectic. I think he was 7 hours ahead.
Oof.
So it was hectic, but we're being very consistent. We're talking. It's going fine, right? Then a month in, we're on the call one day, right? And we're on the call. It's fine. Then he keeps getting a missed call and he's like, dude, my friend keeps trying to call me. And I told him I'm on the phone with you, but listen, let me call him back. I'll call you back just now, right? I'm like, cool. And then he calls me back like 30 minutes later and there's this silence and I could feel, like I told you I'm a feeler, I'm a sensor. So I said, what's wrong? Something's not right. He's like, oh, dude, Penyo, I don't know. This is a lot. I'm like, what? He's like, I knew something had to go wrong. I'm like, what are you on about? He's like, no, so my friend B, let's call him B. My friend B, he just called and he said he needed to get this off his chest and he thinks I should know. I'm like, okay. So apparently my ex, so his ex, right? Apparently his ex is pregnant.
Hey. Okay. Yes.
So I'm like, pregnant with what?
I like that question. Pregnant with what? Because as far as you're concerned, y'all have nothing, right? Yeah, that's a very good question. Pregnant with what? And what did he say?
And he's like, with a baby. I'm like, how many months is this baby? Because I can do the maths right now. If she's pregnant, and I immediately told him, I'm very good with math. So I immediately told him, if she's pregnant, it means she's literally 8 months pregnant. Because that would be the last time you guys had sex, unless you were lying to me.
He had been away for 8 months at this point.
No, so I'm also factoring in, remember he was here.
Yes.
And he had only been away for a month, remember, a month and a half, a month at that point, right? But then I'm now factoring in the time we were together while he was still here. And then
which was
the
how
time
long?
between
But when he was there, you guys have been together for how long?
5 months.
So you were together for 5 months. He had been away for 1, so that's a total of 6. And
he had
he had said he last had sex with her when? How many months before you guys became an item?
He had said like 3 months, 2-3 months, but yeah.
Okay, go on.
We ended up finding out.
Go on.
So I say to him, listen, unless you weren't honest with me. Then he's like, no. When did I say we last had sex? So now we're having a sex conversation.
Yes.
So now we're having a sex conversation and we're doing ovulation maths here. I'm like, he's like, when did I say we had sex?
Ovulation maths.
And he's like, no, I said this month. I'm like, no, you said this month. He's like, no, it was the month after. So that's when I said, okay, this means the minimum pregnancy she has now is 8 months. She's about to pop, my nigga. Like, and how didn't you see this the night you went to pick up? She should have been already showing the night you went to pick up your stuff and I was downstairs.
And you didn't even think about who this person is. It was straight to that one particular ex.
Obviously, because also we had a few things where he had shame. He had forwarded me screenshots. The girl was going a bit crazy saying, oh, I saw your new girlfriend out. It's mentioned a restaurant name. She was with this girl and guy. Like she was popping up here and there. Inviting me on LinkedIn. She was everywhere, basically. So I had no doubt that it's this ex at this point for me, right? And he had claimed that's the only person he had been having unprotected sex with, right? Yeah. So for me, it's this ex. So I'm like, so it means she's 8 months. Okay, she must send the scan through, right?
This is you saying she must send the scan through.
Me, yes, because I also want to know this man's telling the truth. Because if it's a smaller pregnancy, then you lied to me at some point.
But why were you so invested?
Because I also wanted to know if this man had lied to me at some point. Because I thought I'd been dealing with such an open person who had been so honest with me.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was important for me to know how long how far along she was. Yeah. Okay, cool. He says to me, yo, dude, I'm so heartbroken, like shock, all that. And then I'm like, okay, let me give you a day to process. And then we need to have another conversation, right? I give him a day. The next day we have a conversation. He's just low energy at this point. And I could hear it. You know your person when they're down and out. So he's sounding very low. And I'm like to him, okay, when I first got to know you on that first night, one of my questions was, would you marry someone if they happened to be pregnant with your kid, even though you didn't feel like you wanted to marry them and you were in love with them, etc., right? And he was very dead set. I remember, I'll never forget that conversation. He was dead set on, yeah, even if I wasn't really into the person, because he had come from a broken marriage, he wanted his kids to grow up in 2 parents in the same house, whether they were truly in love or not, basically. So that was something he was dead set on. So I'm like taking into note what you told me then. And I remember that was a very big conversation we had, right? And you were so sure. And this has happened. Obviously, I still want to see the scan because she could be lying about being pregnant, or you could have lied about the last time you had sex with her.
Yeah.
But I also just want to know, what are you thinking now? Because you always said if someone's pregnant, you're definitely marrying them. So, I'll ask him this. He's like, I'm so confused. This is a lot for me. I can't believe this is happening. I'm not okay. I'm like, okay, I don't want to pressure or cloud your thinking. So I want to give you time to think. This could take weeks or a month, but I want to give you time to think without even having conversation with me. Because I feel like when you're in contact with someone and you've had this like love bubble, you sometimes won't think clearly, right?
Mm.
So I say to him, I just want you to think very clearly about what's going to happen, basically.
Mm.
And yeah, and then he didn't want the time, but I insisted, basically. He was like, no, I think I definitely want to be with you. I'm like, no, I want you to take the time, because this was something you were very sure of, about marrying someone who's having your baby, basically.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, cool. Step aside for a few weeks. He's like, yeah, I'm going to have to also, I don't know how I'll tell my mom. So remember, I said, this guy was a mama's boy.
Oh, yeah, of
this
course.
is very
Yeah.
important.
I remember that, yeah.
He had actually kind of become his mom's husband, like replacement husband.
Eesh.
Like, it was bad, Tinto. Like,
Eesh.
so I knew she would also weigh in heavily on this. And she was also a very traditional African mom, in the sense that she would have definitely said, you need to marry this girl. So I knew this was going to play a lot into this. You know, he's used to doing whatever his mom says. So I was like, please, like, think yourself, let your mom know, because I know that's also going to affect your thoughts, and then come back to me. You know? Cool. I step aside for some weeks. Yeah, he sends me messages here and there during the weeks, but I don't respond because I want him to think clearly, right? I'm praying about it on my end also, because I also need to make a decision. Because if this man comes back and says, I want to be in a relationship with you, I need to know, am I ready to be an overnight stepmom kind of thing?
Wow.
Right?
Literally overnight, yeah.
Yeah. And am I okay with that, basically, right? So I also stepped aside and I'm praying about it. I'm thinking about it. I've told my family about it, basically. They're weighing in their thoughts and praying for me to make my decision. And yeah, I wasn't very sure, but Tinto, there's something that happened during those weeks where I felt like it's a sign, but it could have been my mind also, really.
What
at
happened?
that point. But I was in the grocery store one of the days, right? Getting my weekly groceries. And I remember I was just, in my own world, getting my stuff. And there was this baby crying and kicking with its mom there. And then I walked past and then I just did like a funny face. And this baby started giggling. And this baby had been throwing a tantrum at this point. Like a year old throwing a tantrum. And then I'm like, and then this baby like reaches out as in wanting to come to me. And this is like a year-old baby. And I'm like, huh? So anyway, I carry this baby and just silence. And the mom was so shook. Like, she was like, this kid does not like people and you can see the headache I'm getting here.
Right.
And there was just this piece. I know I'm good with kids, but it was just weird the way that happened. Like, just laid on me, literally. This baby put its head on my shoulder and just laid. And I literally helped this lady around the store, let her finish getting her stuff, and then I handed her back. And he started screaming again as soon as I let him go. And for me, when I went back, I don't know, I just kind of felt like, is God trying to tell me, like, this is okay? I can do this? It was just random, Tinto. So I won't lie. I kind of culminated that with like okay, God's saying, this is okay if it comes back like that.
Yeah.
And I knew that exactly. And I knew I had no hate in my heart. I've always said, like, most of the times in conversation, my friends are always against being a stepmom, etc. Because I have no kids, right? So, and I've always been like, guys, I don't mind at all. I have a lot of love to give. I definitely wouldn't mind at all. So I knew also that I would have the capacity on that level. So I just needed God to also say to me, you know what? This is okay. So anyway, he came back basically after the weeks and he said to me, I've thought about this and I want to be with you. And I'm going to speak to your family and I definitely want to marry you. If you're okay, what did you think about it? If you're okay with it, I'd love you to be a part of my life. And I'll let her know the baby can live with us if she wants. If she doesn't want, he can visit whenever, etc. Right?
But by this point, did you have that confirmation yet? That this is his child or it's not his child?
So I didn't. And I kept asking this. On that same call, I remember saying to him, okay, listen, I'm at the point where also, do you really know that this is your kid at this point? Right? And his story was, remember how me and this girl got together? We were friends. I don't think she'd lie to me about this.
Yeah.
And I kept pushing and I kept saying, but this person really wanted you now at some point, you know? She was now grappling at anything to get back with you. I think it's possible, and I think we need to factor that in,
Yeah.
you know? And you're going to have to do a check. And then he said, okay, I don't want to think about that too much now at this point, but we will do the check. Okay. That's what he said to me. I just don't want to, because she keeps saying this is all stressing her pregnancy and she could lose the baby. I'm like, no. If she's 8 months pregnant, she cannot, like, it's very difficult at that point for stress to just make you lose a baby, you know? I don't want her to completely cloud your judgment, right? Also, you can speak to my sister. She's a medical professional. If she might be over-exaggerating things that are not that deep. Basically. And I don't want you to think that I'm being somehow because I'm your partner. So if you feel better speaking to my sister about it, please speak to her on a medical point of view wise, right? Cool. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so we continue. At some point he starts, a month later again, he starts being a bit down and I notice and I'm like, what's up? He's like, no, I hadn't yet told my mom and this girl went and told her. And now my mom's freaking out, you know? And mom's freaking out.
And by now she's told mom that, mom, this is your son's baby.
Yes, exactly.
And he still hasn't communicated this to you either.
Yeah, he's claiming it's his baby, but I felt like we must do like a proper DNA check, like at this point, right? So he's saying, I believe her.
And you still don't have the number of months that she was pregnant for you to do your math
I don't
as
have,
to whether.
I don't have the official number at this point also. So I'm just like, dude, right? And then mom comes back. She's going wild. She's like, you need to marry this girl. She's putting pressure. She's blowing up her phone. Every time we're on the phone, mom's trying to call. He'll even take like screenshots and be like, look, like, you know? So it's bad now. And I'm like, And then he's like, no, don't worry. I've lived my whole life till this age for her, and all my decisions have been revolved around my mom, and I can't keep living for her, you know? So she's gonna have to understand that this is what I want to do, you're what I want, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, his family's not really going well with that, like, except his brother. His brother was very supportive, but his family at this point, you know, African tradition, they're like, what did this girl do to you? Why are you so focused at a girl you just met?
Of course, yeah, yeah. All sort of stories start coming out.
Listen, they're like not having it, Tinto. Like, it was bad, hey? It was bad. And then what happens is his aunt says she's coming to visit that country he's in, right? And at that point, he had been staying with an aunt for a few months before he gets his own place there. But this aunt that's coming to visit, to give you context, had basically played second mother role. So when the separation happened with his parents and his dad had died, that aunt helped in a big way financially in his schooling. So she's got a big hold on him also. So she goes, hey, these phone calls are not working. I will fly 18 hours to you.
Eish. Yeah, ne?
And obviously on my side, he said, babe, sort out your visa stuff. I need to see you here. Yeah. I just need to be around you. I think it's important, etc. It's been so tough. So I'm like, cool. So I'm doing my visa stuff. My visa comes out. This aunt gets there before I even get a chance to get there, right? I'm now meant to visit in the next, I think it was 4 weeks from then, right? Take note, it was also a very big milestone birthday. So I'm also trying to plan something for his birthday. And obviously we're seeing each other, etc., right? So at this point, I am worried, but I'm not, because he sounded like a sure man at this point, right? He also tells me, I'm going to need to speak to your sister about lobola stuff, like how financially what that would look like. You know, he's asking about ring styles. You get me? So this is
Like,
So
this
I'm
is
nervous,
real.
but
Yeah.
I'm not. This is real for me. You get me? How someone cannot play with something like this because obviously my sister's going to go ask my parents what Lobola's looking like. So he knows the situation. He's still in contact at some point with my dad and my mom. You know, whenever I'm with my mom and he calls, he asks to speak to my mom. So I'm okay. I am worried about this aunt going there, but I'm like, no, like, you know, they're just trying to make sure, but this guy is sure, right?
Yeah.
So this aunt comes, right, on the weekend, and all of a sudden I try to call him that weekend and he's not picking up, Tinto. I'm saying Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm even now worried for his safety, right? So I call his brother. I'm like, dude, your brother, I haven't spoken to him in 3 days. Is he okay? His phone's going straight to voicemail. You know, I'm actually worried about him right now, you know? And I know he was so stressed about the whole your aunt going there. And then he says to me, no, please just know he loves you so much. Let me try contact him and find out. Then brother calls me a few hours later and claims that his phone stopped working on Friday. Stopped working, right? And he's gonna get a new phone tomorrow and he'll contact you. And this brother just keeps saying, and you know how much my brother loves you, right? And I'm just like, okay. Okay, cool. Okay. Cool. He comes back the day later when the brother said he'd be back. And initially on the call, he's quite somber, quite down. But as we talk, he picks up as usual, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, maybe this aunt meetup was very hectic. But, you know, as usual, when he speaks to me, his energy picks up, you know? And then he's like, yeah, it was a hectic weekend. Then he sticks with the whole something happened with his phone. He had to get a new phone and a new SIM card, etc. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then in the next few days, this is important. It was quite late in the evening here, but it was in the morning there, like maybe 7 a.m. and he's at work. He sends me some really, really deep messages, basically, right? And he's like, I can't get on a call because I'm at work and but I need to let you know this stuff, right? And in summary, he basically says, my interaction with you has been so deep and it has been something I never expected, right? It's a level that basically his therapist hadn't reached, is what he says, right? With him. And he opened up in ways and he felt in ways he never thought was possible, right?
Yes.
And he spoke about past traumas and basically he just says, I love you in ways I can't explain, right? And it hurt so much that things would come try and break that, because he did keep feeling like, yo, this feels too good and like we make so much sense together, right? And anyway, what I'm saying is it's fine. There's nothing that anyone can do to take away what we have, right? And and he's just basically like, I love you, Penyo. And I feel like God destined this, you know? Very deep stuff, right? And I'm just like, I'm blown away, obviously. I'm like, okay, this is hectic, but I'll take it, you know? And I'm just like, I receive it. And then he's like, I feel like I've lived my life so much for my family and my mom and taking care of everyone. But this is my time to make sure I'm also good, you know? And so I'm like, okay, if you need to talk about anything else, I'm here. And at this point, listen, 2 weeks left till my flight. Remember, everyone at work knows that. Everyone at work knows that I'm going on holiday because I never take leave. I'm a bit of a workaholic. So I've taken 3 weeks leave at this point. Everyone knows I'm not going to be around. Remember, flowers are coming to the office, so they know it's a relationship, right? This is very important that I tell you this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm excited. I'm over the moon. And then what happens is a call happens with. So remember my sister's husband, that's my brother-in-law, then his brother. Remember, that's the wedding we're attending.
Yes,
right?
yes.
A call happens with his brother and Deadman. And Deadman comes and tells me about this call and his worries. And he says, your brother-in-law basically says that he doesn't believe in blended families.
Right.
And that my sister and her husband are in a blended marriage where there's a kid outside the marriage, basically. And yeah, he just doesn't believe in blended families, and he should marry the girl who's having his baby. And he feels like he's just taken by the idea that Peño could be like your trophy wife. I feel like you're just struck on that. You know this, your ex, she was your friend. Don't do this, Basically, he basically tells him to leave me and she'll be fine. She'll meet someone. She's a great girl. Go with your ex. And I don't believe in blended families. And I advised my own brother from marrying her sister because it would be a blended family. Like, what the hell? So he comes disturbed with this conversation. And I'm disturbed when he tells me, because this is someone who smiles with you when you meet them, I felt a bit backstabbed, and I didn't understand his intention. And I didn't also like how he spoke about my sister and her marriage, like being blended. And he was demotivating him. It was him kind of even trying to say that the blended family wasn't going well. So, and scare this guy. So, immediately, I tell my sister, I'm not going to lie to you. I tell my sister, and I tell him I have to tell my sister this. I'm sorry, because this guy's always in their house and acting cool, but he's a snake.
Yeah, and so that's not cool though. Being
exactly,
like that. Yeah,
exactly. So I tell my sister, and her and her husband like basically approached this guy, and they're like, "What the hell?" And it turns out he was trying to be sneaky. He was just like, no, it doesn't make sense that he just wants to marry her so quickly and he's so sure about her. He should be with the mother of his kid and whatever. And he's just being sour. And yeah, he was basically plotting here. And I'm just like, so this hiccup happens and he's a bit rattled, but he's like, it's fine. I'm going to see you next week anyway. I'm like, yeah. And I'm planning my own extra things for this, for the birthday part of his trip, right? Cool. I now need to book flights, right? So he says to me, babe, you book the flights and then I'll reimburse you the flight money so that you book a flight that you like.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, cool. That makes sense. He's like, yeah, it's just that I don't want the fuss between me picking a flight. You don't like the times, you don't like the airline, etc. So you book the flight and then you'll just give me the cost and I'll reimburse you. Right?
Yeah.
So I believe him. This is my man, remember? So I'm like, okay, cool. That's not even a thing, right? And take note, this place is far. So the flights were expensive. And he's also supposed to reimburse me the visa stuff, etc. I had done a lot, basically. Right? The only thing I was doing on my end was just secret birthday planning, which I didn't mind, obviously, as my cost. Anyway, I booked the flight and then it's confirmed and my flight is basically in 5 days, right? So I text him, babe, book the flight. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. And then I'm driving home from work. He sends me a text. He's like, what you doing? I'm like, I call him. I'm like, oh, I'm driving home. He's like, okay, call me whenever you get to where you're going. Where you going? I'm like, the gym. He's like, no, call me when you're in the parking stall. I'm like, and I could feel, I was like, that's strange, but okay. Because we can talk while I'm driving. I mean, Bluetooth. So I'm like, okay, cool. I call him when I get there. And, and he says to me, babe, I'm like, yeah. He's like, I'm getting married. I'm like, you're getting married to who? What do you mean? I mean, obviously it's not.
It's not to me, so who is it to?
I was like, what do you mean you're getting married to who? We're getting married. We are getting married, I know. And then I'm in utter shock. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, to my ex. I'm like,
oh my God.
can you hear yourself? I remember saying to him, can you hear yourself? Are you being serious right now? And I remember when I said that, he said, wait, I'm not thinking straight. Give me a second, Peno. And I was even more confused. Can you imagine?
What?
He says to me, wait, Peno, I'm not thinking straight. Give me a second. And he keeps quiet for like 10 minutes. And I'm in tears, Tinto. I'm at parking gym. I'm at the parking at the gym. I'm like, what the hell? My world is being ripped apart. So I'm like, what? He's like, he's like, okay, I'm not thinking straight. I don't know what to do. I love you so much. Oh, but my mom says I have to do this. My aunt, my aunt was here. Yeah. I'm like, babe, hold up.
So he's like, my aunt was here, and when we spoke and felt that this was the right thing for me to do.
Yeah. So I say, but hold up. You disappeared the whole weekend. Are you already married or you're getting married? Because remember, he had organized that we'd do a virtual lobola with me. So now it's clicking to me that she could have been there to do that for this other girl.
Oh my God. Was she?
Yeah, she was. So he couldn't admit it. So I say this to him and he just says, Peno, I'm not thinking straight. I love you so much. I'm like, you're not thinking straight, but you're not answering my question. What happened? Are you married already? And he can't answer me, Tinto. And he's just like, I don't know. Should you come here? Should you not? I'm like,
come there for in. What are you going to go there for?
Exactly.
You got a whole wife that you've now just bagged. What are you really asking me? Oh my gosh.
It was devastating, to say the least. I couldn't even drive. I remember my sister, my sisters had to come pick me up at the gym. We had to leave my car at the gym because I couldn't drive. I was shaking. I think it was shock.
Yeah.
You know when you don't see something coming?
Yeah.
So they had to carry me into the car, drive me home. I lost 10 kgs in 1 week.
My yeah.
So this is where the Dead Man part comes in. So people at work keep asking me, I don't catch my flight, right? So I'm still at work and I'm a workaholic. So I need my work now to distract me from this excruciating pain I'm going through, right?
Yeah.
So basically, I told HR he died.
What?
Yeah. So I said, because everyone keeps asking why you've lost so much weight. You could see already I'm not like a very big girl at all. You get me? So now I'm looking skinny. And everyone keeps asking what's wrong. And I don't have the strength to say this is a breakup. I even felt like an idiot telling people that I'm 10 kgs lighter because of a breakup and I was meant to be gone. I felt like an idiot. And it felt like he had died in my life because I didn't even recognize, we didn't even have a proper call to fully understand. He wasn't answering me. It felt like he had died in my life. And I didn't feel like I had the strength to explain to people that I'm not okay. At the same time, I wanted to continue working because it was helping me like just stay above water, basically. So because I wanted to work remotely and that wasn't a big thing back in 2019, I said he died. So they gave me a few days off to attend funeral and stuff. And then I worked remotely. Then I continued working, but I worked remotely. And then I came back to work and it made sense, the losing the weight. The being not okay. I mean, it's not, I'm laughing now, but it wasn't funny.
Well, why not just say that we broke up? Why not just say we broke up instead of having some death hanging over some alive person? That's dark, yo.
I won't lie. I didn't feel like he deserved that explanation. And because he hadn't made time to explain properly what had happened to me.
Yeah.
And the shock was too much. And I didn't even have answers for people. Remember, I'm piecing 2 and 2, but this person's not agreeing or disagreeing to anything. You see? So I just didn't want to explain myself to anyone. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but it felt like he had died in my life because I never saw that coming and he had not given me proper explanation and I didn't see this coming. And I didn't have answers for people and I didn't feel like saying, guys, I don't know what happened. Like,
Damn.
You know? Yeah.
So are they still married?
So fast forward, my brother-in-law sees her because they needed to hand something that my sister was supposed to get from him. And yeah, she waves her ring to him. And then he has a conversation with her. So it turns out she had lied about being pregnant. And because he didn't see any proof, and this is remotely, right? And he had believed she's pregnant just by her saying it. They had, the aunt and the mom had arranged for them to get married virtually. And only afterwards, she claimed a miscarriage, but then he questioned it. And then he found out, no, she actually wasn't ever pregnant.
Aibo.
But at that point, he just felt like this girl really wants me in her life and it's done anyway. Am I going to reverse this? And he went with it. That's basically what happened.
He can piss off. You know, he has what's coming for him. Honestly, he does. Because if at one point he was going to lobola the girl and then he cheated, there's something that he wasn't quite happy about with her.
Yeah.
And whatever it was doesn't sound to me like it's resolved.
No, definitely not.
This guy is not ready for somebody who is just clean. He's used to drama. He's used to being abandoned.
Yeah.
He's got a fearful attachment style, and this works for him.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was it. We never had a conversation again, except I think like 6 months later. It was really late at night here, so it was definitely during the day there. It was so strange that night because I thought I deleted all his numbers I had, but I'd forgotten to delete one of his numbers, which was from the country he was now in, right? And the thing is, at that point, while it was still fresh when it had happened, because I was still expecting communication to get an explanation, I had saved it as dead man. So
wow.
It's midnight. I'm sleeping. It's like a Tuesday evening. I wake up and my phone is saying dead man. And this is 6 months later. And I've forgotten about this. I've moved on. I'm over it. I remember I was like, dead man, what the hell?
Wow.
And I was in too much shock to answer. He kept trying to call me that night, but I was in too much shock to answer, to be fair. Went back to sleep. But he never, I thought he'd send a message to explain what he wanted or try again, but he never tried to call again or send a text. The only thing now is what he'll do is, you know, LinkedIn will tell you who searched your profile.
Yeah.
And I literally have no other connections of people who live in that country. So it always says, this person viewed your profile. So he's stalking me on LinkedIn, I guess. But we have had no contact. That's in the past. I moved. Oh, yeah. So the other thing was he was meant to send my money. Remember, we thought he's financially stable.
Yeah.
So the one thing my sister asked from him was, please send my sister back her money because it was quite a bit of money, right? And yeah, he never sent it.
Oh my gosh.
He promised. He said to her, I'm definitely going to send her money back. I know it was a lot of money and that's the least I can do. But till this day,
it still hasn't
I have
come.
not gotten my money back.
You might as well write it off. How long has it been?
No, I did.
2
No,
years?
3 years, right?
Yeah,
3 years. No, I definitely did. I just wanted to give you context because there's a time you asked.
Yeah.
Like, he should have been good money. I don't know now. That was a bit dodge.
I am speechless. I am absolutely speechless. But now I get the 2 lessons, which I will just go through to wrap this up. First one up is there's no formula to this love and dating life. It couldn't have been more obvious in this. Absolutely no formula. Because on one end, you saw the guy's aura, you loved it. You got put off by the ex being in the car, got put off by your brother-in-law. Only for the brother-in-law to be the same person to say this is the real deal. And then when you change your view, get into the real deal, you turn out that no, he would rather marry somebody else at the end. Like, what the hell? Second lesson, just hope that your prayers touch the hem of Jesus Christ. And I guess what Jesus did for you here was let somebody go who would not have been good for you anyway.
Yeah. No, that's true. I fully agree.
And then that really ties in with your name to say that you've won and you are victorious.
Yeah.
Over something that would have been potentially a hurtful relationship.
Yeah, definitely. And funny enough, that's what my real name actually means. So
really?
Pena was a good pick.
Oh,
Yeah,
does it really?
It means victory of the people.
Wicked juggling myself.
It means victory of the people.
Wow.
And definitely in all other aspects of my life. I mean, even in some ways, my love life. But I always win. And I remember my father always used to say, you win, you're number one, not two. So it definitely translates well. And I think I won in the end, despite that.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Well, you keep all of those victories pumping forward, Pena. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And you guys have been listening to another episode of The Feeling Station. I'm your host, Tinto, and I will catch you in next weekend's episode. Peace.
Tell me what you're feeling.
Satis on Daro Raini and Chagis.
Tell me what you're feeling. Now that it's over.
Satis on Daro Raini and Chagis.
Let me talk about my feelings. Let me talk about my feelings, yeah.
Urudoi motoru noto kujiziro amai.
Kujiziro amai. Love is a fire.
Urudoi motoru noto kujiziro amai.